Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just ill prepared, man.
But the jig is up.
Am I going? Hey, everybody. It's Eugene and Dylan's Guitar Show.
Woo! Hi. Let me turn that
I'm
off.
Eugene Edwards over here, and Dr. Dylan Caligiuri is right over there.
Hello.
And first of all, I just want to welcome y'all. Hi, Jim. Well, no, I can't see anything, but yeah, you know, I don't know.
Your guitar is it's too hot.
My guitar's too hot?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. See that? Try it again. Perfect.
Any hoozles.
Hey, folks.
Can I see the chat, though? I don't.
Oh, you want to see the chat too?
Well,
Jeez,
because
you
with
see
the
how it's
people-
just like a list of demands.
I
feel like I'm in Dog Day Afternoon, the Redux.
Needy. Drunkle Bob. What a great handle. Darren, Jim, Greg, and Scott Fogelman. Hello, everybody. Now, we have a topic that we're going to kind of do this. It's a bit of a theme over the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a few decades here. But the idea, Dylan was thinking, there's got to be, at this point, you do bar gigs, you play some covers. There's a whole wedding band circuit, corporate gigs, Vegas showrooms. There's casinos everywhere. There's just lots of, especially if you like here in Southern California and other parts of our fair nation. It's springtime. It's summer. There's a lot of outdoor gigs. I saw a quartet play in Burbank on Sunday, a function, and they were fabulous. It was acoustic guitar, bass, just a lead singer, and violin, fiddle.
Wow.
And they were volume appropriate. Their song selection was perfect for the event. Some big obvious choices, some kind of deep cut sort of things. And I was like, well, these guys.
I love when cover bands do deep cuts.
Yeah,
That's what I really just want that.
It's always a nice.
You know
It's
what I
always
mean?
nice. So,
Yeah.
so the idea here is, what are the songs, if you're in a covers band from the 1960s? There's a couple songs that you're gonna do. You're gonna have to.
You gotta do these.
You gotta do these. And if you don't,
Well, and it's
You-
like
it's
play
your own
some
peril.
60s stuff. Okay, what does that mean? What does that
that's
mean?
a great question. What
Yeah.
does that mean?
What does that mean?
So, but before we get into that, I was in New York City
Yeah.
this past weekend. You see,
In the city?
yeah, we were staying in the Lower East Side.
Okay.
we played at the Beacon Theater.
All right.
We played at the Beacon, and across the street from my hotel, this is why New York is awesome. There was a rice pudding. Do you like rice pudding?
Yeah.
There's a rice pudding
not?
rice pudding restaurant. That's what they do. They just do rice
Sure.
pudding. Varies. And I love their advert. Now they have these big stickers all over the windows and these signs. The one right over the door, it's rice pudding, right?
Right.
Rice pudding. It's nice. It says, stupid good rice pudding up in this bitch. Dozens of delicious flavors and 3 shitty ones. Eat all you want. You're already fat.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
All calories consumed here are yours to keep.
Yeah.
Bathroom is for Rice to Riches is the name of the restaurant. by the way.
Rice to Riches.
Free
only.
plug if you're ever in the Lower East Side. Bathroom is for Rice to Riches customers only. Violators will be disgraced, tortured, and savagely beaten. If you survive, you will be shot.
Yeah.
Another one. Friendly service, no lines, free giveaways, and false advertising.
That's amazing. It's beautiful though. It has its own poetic
Rise
nature.
to Riches. We're fancy, but we're not schmancy. And unattended children will be served coffee, given sharp utensils, and taught to swear. There's just tons more here, but quality, price, service, pick any two.
So I give this place about a 6-month window of corporate financing. Before
Oh,
they're,
maybe they figured out like
before
we're going
they're
to correct that,
done.
but I loved it, and that was mostly what I learned. Oh, also, and I ate at Katz's Deli, made famous in the When Harry Met Sally.
Did you get
scene.
to go anywhere while you're there, or just kind of a turnaround?
What do you mean go anywhere?
Like, did you get to walk around?
I went
and do
to
anything?
Little Italy for a slice.
Oh, yeah?
I went I went everywhere,
some
man.
time.
Like,
You had some
I
actual
did.
time.
I went to the Desert Spot 5 in Brooklyn.
Oh, really? What's that one like?
Kind of better. It's a better room. I mean, what I mean is, it's not the top of a hotel, but it's just this really nice, big room.
Yeah.
But considering you're in Brooklyn, it's great size. Sightlines are great. The band was the drummer, she was fantastic.
So do you feel like
the house band
country
was
has is getting a bunch of traction in
it's
this
everywhere.
urban city?
It's everywhere. I mean, there were cowboy hats, kids were line dancing, the whole thing.
And do you feel like it's largely aesthetic driven, or it's like, is it more that they're in love with the music?
I think it starts with the aesthetics, and I think it's fine. I think it's a fashion show.
That's totally.
You start with the fashion, and I mean, face it. I mean, a lot of people have gotten into rockabilly fashion first.
You're looking at one.
Okay, so that happens. By the way, a guy, Skip Edwards, great piano player and steel player. He was with Dwight's band forever, and he's been with Johnny Rivers, and he's a long list of clients. But he moved here from New York in the early 70s. He moved here to LA. And he said, he had a great line, because I interviewed him on my Sirius XM show, and he said, in the late 70s, in one weekend, John Travolta took away all of our jobs.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, John Travolta
gave
had us
us
working
all of
8
our
nights
jobs
a week.
back at Urban Cowboy.
Yeah, exactly. So we are, and Dwight has said this too. He'll say this on stage. In that time, in the late 70s, early 80s, every Fern bar in Los Angeles became a country bar.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so if you knew some country songs, you were working like that.
Yeah.
I think that's happening right now. And it won't last forever, but I'm enjoying it.
Well, that's how the business works, though.
That's how the business works.
It's a cyclical thing.
But to the 60s.
Yeah, to the 60s. To the 60s.
Oh, the sandwiches are like $40. It's not $40, but I don't even remember what I paid because it was so good. But the scene in When Harry Met Sally, when she fakes an orgasm basically, and there's a sign pointing right to where they filmed that.
But the music for When Harry Met Sally, which is largely done by Harry Connick Jr., circa like 1988-ish,
correct,
with Wynton Marsalis' big band, is absolutely phenomenal.
It's a beautiful soundtrack.
So people that are like, I don't like.
It's mostly good, and it's
Jr.
almost all Gershwin songs.
It's amazing.
Almost all. Yeah.
It's as Dad wrote, if they asked me, I could write a book. But other than that, like Where or When and all those other ones. Yeah, that's just gorgeous.
It Had to Be You.
You guys got to listen to it.
It's a great listen. Also, and the fact that Rob Reiner goes with all that Gershwin stuff is also a bit of a tribute to what Woody Allen had been doing with his 70s romantic comedy. So it's sort of like it's trying to like tie it into that thing, like the romanticism.
It's not like The Sting, where the music is totally inappropriate.
That just still bothers me. A ragtime song during the Depression, I have no idea what we're doing. So 1960s. So here's some songs that they're going to come up. And if you can think of some, maybe you have gig experience, or maybe just as an audience member, you've gone to enough weddings, right? You the ones you always hear. Now, the first one that I think of is the one I played is Brown Eyed Girl.
Yeah.
Which is funny because most bands, I think at this point, it's the last thing we want to play because it's overdone. Here's the problem though. Just listen to that record in a vacuum. Just pretend like you haven't heard it a billion times, at gunpoint. Just listen to it. It's a fabulous pop record.
Also really.
It's a great lyric. It's just so good. Now, what's interesting about the guitar, and the thing is, as guitar players, we got to know the intro.
Yeah.
Right, that's the thing that even if you don't know how the rest of the song goes, you at least have to be able to get everyone into the song.
Right.
I would say the same thing for like Satisfaction and My Girl. We have a couple of songs here.
Yeah, a lot of these have guitar intros.
So this one, and I've told this story before, in that there's a box set had come out years ago, so they had like more of the outtakes of that afternoon. It's a real quick session in New York City, and the guitar, that figure's not there. It's not like Van Morrison wrote that figure. He just kind of has a song. So so their intros are just kind of there's grooving on G, and then he comes in singing, and you hear the guitar player play this. You can tell he's thinking on a Latin thing, and you get really frustrated. You're like, just play Brown Eyed Girl,
right?
But you're like, oh, it's not. It hasn't been created yet.
So that's an overdub.
We're like 30 minutes. No. They just, as they do more and more takes, they finally settle in on it. The bass, by the way, is played by Eric Gales
Senior,
who was a hot lead session player.
But he was a guitar player.
That's right, but he just,
and it sounds. Listen to the bass on that.
Very very busy.
He's
bass
getting
player.
paid by the note,
and his E string is tuned down a step to D.
Yeah, you can tell.
He's scooped boom boom boom. So that's only. But for the guitar players, this is a great study in sixths. A way to get into really tasteful guitar playing is when we use sixths. I've noticed this when I play them live in concert, they kind of get people's attention. So we're going to E shape G, okay? But we're just going to focus on the G string and the E string right here. Now, if we counted via the major scale between those notes, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a sixth interval. Keep that straight. And he's basically playing the G major scale on both strings up and down. Okay, so this is B, C, D, C, B, and we got G, A, B, A, G. So they're just kind of moving in tandem. But here's the really interesting thing.
Sure.
So you do that once over the 1 chord of G, and then it goes to the 4 chord of C. Now, and you do the same thing, just play the shape. Something happens here. We've kind of left the G major scale, haven't we? Because the second position, right there, on the G string, I'm playing the 10th fret. That's an F natural. That note doesn't belong to G major. It's supposed to be F sharp. So here's what it would be if he didn't make that adjustment.
It gets more Buffett right away. That's what it does for me.
It's almost too diatonic.
It's a little Buffety, yeah.
This makes it a little funkier, a little more Latin, a little more salsa this way for some reason.
Makes it Mixolydian.
Because salsa music is very, very Mixolydian.
Right.
And then if you do that twice through, then the band comes in and then the pressure's off. What's really sweet is throughout that song, you don't have to do this, but it's really nice if you can, is if you listen to what the guitar player is doing underneath in the verses, he's really kind of doing these nice...
Yeah.
He's really, really kind of leaning into this kind of Latin vibe here.
Well, I would say like a sort of a Rasta, or not Rasta, but it's like a Latin. No, a certain kind of Latin. What am I thinking of? Give me a couple kinds.
Afro-Cuban.
Afro-Cuban. Afro-Cuban. Let's go with that.
Which is very New Yorican, as we would say. So
New Yorican?
That's right, New Yorican. Oh, and then, of course, there's no guitar solo. There's basically a bass solo, which is really, really... Again, Eric Gale... Senior just says, I'm still playing the solo.
But it's the most.
It's cool.
It's almost the same thing he's playing on the verses though. So
it's just everybody just clears out for the guy. He's about to cook. You know, he's got the ball. There's 3 seconds left. And he's at the elbow. He's like, I got this. Yeah. Fantastic.
And he gets like 2 rounds through the whole progression. Wow.
It's a really, really interesting pop record thing. So so that's Brown Eyed Girl.
I think that's one of the bigger ones.
Sunshine in Your Love. Oh, okay, Sunshine in Your Love. We'll try and get to that one. We talked about that one a couple weeks ago. Okay, what's the next on the list? What do you got?
Okay, Proud Mary.
Proud Mary.
So a lot of people, if you're newer to guitar, this is a great one to do because of the intro, because there's a lot of action in this intro.
Yes, but go ahead. But yes, the intro, that's the thing. If you're going to want to study the intro.
Yeah, because there's quite a bit in there.
Because Proud Mary's in D.
Yeah.
But the intro kind of isn't.
Key change, direct modulation.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, there's no... there should have been a disclaimer on the disc, like, hey, this is going to be, if you have a neck injury, you probably shouldn't even.
Yeah, strap in.
Yeah.
Because it starts, now it's kind of got this, now I don't know, it feels like it's sort of like John Fogerty's kind of writing like a soul intro, like a Stax Volt thing, like the way Soul Man, or I'm thinking of,
or even James Brown's
in the Midnight Hour.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
It's also in D.
Right.
But
so maybe that is what he was doing. Yeah, because
it seems like he's kind of just riding this, but he doesn't have horns. He doesn't have backup. It's just
we didn't have them. Yeah,
a rhythm guitar intro, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So the is it the 60s or the 90s? The disc. Well, on the good point.
Well, I meant the vinyl disc.
Yeah, we meant it's a discus.
The lacquer.
The lack thereof. So we're in the song's in the key of D mostly. Or who knows if the singer says, yeah, but I do it in some other key. Now you've got to transpose the intro as well as the rest of the song.
Yeah, that's going to make things
so
trickier.
The intro is C to A, and it's all major chords, which is also very, very soul music.
Yeah.
I've said how like Steve Cropper, the song that the guitar he used to write a lot of songs for Otis Redding was tuned to an open E
and
chord.
So they had to be major chords.
And so that's why Dock of the Bay, all the chords are major. And he'll play non-diatonic chords.
Yeah. That's why it's if they say, hey, take a chorus, kid, and you're me, and it's the Bay Area circa 2004,
Sounds
and you're
very
like
specific.
You're thinking, holy crap. And because it's like These are not. There is no singular scale that's gonna. These don't. Yeah. These are not.
the 6 is major. The 3 is major.
Everything's major.
The flat 7. So Proud Mary's kind of doing that thing. It's C A C A C A G F. G1. No, D. Oh yeah, just go straight to D. And then once we're in the song,
then it's. Well, it does go back to the intro halfway.
It uses instead of a guitar solo. Well, there's a guitar solo. I guess.
Yeah, it goes up.
It's rolling on the river at that point, man.
Yeah.
So that's so keep an eye out for Proud Mary. Now, the thing about any of these Creedence tunes, I could have chosen like 3 or 4 different Creedence tunes at this point because a lot of Creedence songs are kind of 60s cover.
Well, that Green River album too.
It's just hit after hit after hit, and everyone recognizes them, and they're all pretty like dance floor friendly enough. They're not too demanding on the body, you know. It's kind of like okay.
Ooh, they got a lot of like jug sounding bass stuff going on those. Yeah,
no one ever does do Down the Corner. That'd be cool. But Springsteen says about Creedence. He did the induction speech when they were put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he says like in the '80s, I would go into a club and there'd be a band playing, a cover band, and then they'd see me, and then you tell they'd try and go to one of my songs, and there'd always be like some part that was tricky, it was a little awkward
about his songs.
Yeah. And then I'd be embarrassed for them.
Right.
You know, and then they would do a Creedence song and sound like the greatest band on the planet.
Yeah, right. Because they just
piss me off every time.
Because they just land.
Just god damn that.
Yeah.
Somebody to Love.
So we just talked about this.
No. Well, do you mean Someone to Love by Jefferson Airplane, John?
No, I think she means, don't you want somebody to love?
Oh, yeah, that is Somebody to Love. You're right.
Don't you need?
Maybe they heard us. I don't know that I hear a lot of bands do that. When Born to Be Wild,
we used to do that. Now,
instead of It's Your Thing, John, I say the Isley Brothers Shout. Is like the big one. That's one I had on the list here, and which is also very tricky because it's very arrangement centric, and you pretty much have to keep track. Because I don't have it memorized. Like, when do we go to the double time?
I do.
And
you gotta have a good bass player for these songs. By the way, this is all.
Is that the secret
sauce?
sauce?
He drives the entire song. Yeah, because it's you need really somebody that can go. Assuming you're not going to play it like. But it's supposed to wait a minute now. If you're going to get to all that and you're going to start doing the tempo increases that they do, I mean, you really got to have a great bass player that can just drive the whole thing.
Good to know.
Because the guitar player's not, we're not really the thing on that.
No,
song.
not on that one. You know, we're just the changes are very, very fundamental. Greg, you mentioned Green Onions. That's a great one too.
It's a great song.
You have to have that organ. But here's the trick about Green Onions. Obviously, what Steve Cropper, it's an F. So it's tempting to do it in E if you're a guitar player. You kind of want to because you do those bends. But doing it in F is really hip. It's easier on the organ player. The thing about Green Onions, the pitfall for cover bands with Green Onions is the drummer. If you listen to it, Al Jackson Sr., the drummer, the great Al Jackson, his right cymbal, he's playing straight. Ta, 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 ta. Dun, 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 and he's playing this very straight, very straight. Most drummers would naturally go.
Yeah, it's a completely different
feel. And you actually harm the swing by playing swing there.
Right.
So it's really make sure the drummer understands to play the ride cymbal very straight. Because that actually gives everything else, it gives it the proper tension. We talk about harmonic tension a lot. I know I do, the 5 chord and this note and chromaticism.
Rhythmic tension.
We should do an episode just on rhythmic tension and the value of it. And that's a great example, though. Those early Jerry Lee Lewis records, the Chuck Berry stuff, the Elvis, all that early rock and roll actually was a great mix of something being very straight and other things being swinging like crazy.
Right.
Otherwise, it would have I shouldn't say just, but otherwise it would have remained jump blues or Western swing.
Yeah, it would have been compartmentalized, or it would have been pigeonholed.
But just the fact that you had this, and that really starts in New Orleans. Not to get way into the weeds, but those early Fats Domino records, the Dave Bartholomew stuff, where you're actually hearing 3 to 4 different rhythms
at the same time.
Each instrument's going to play a slightly different rhythm than the other, and this is where the gumbo starts to happen, so to speak. Also, I had Twist and Shout by the Beatles. You think like there's got to be a Beatles song that cover bands must do. Beatles, it's tricky because, but I actually think Twist and Shout ends up being if I just decide on one Beatles song,
especially if you have somebody who can belt. So
if you have a screamer, that's true.
You gotta have
that's
a screamer.
Great.
Yeah.
Also, I know some students of mine, like if they're really, really beginner, I actually use Twist and Shout as a great example of why the five dominant chord is so important.
Right.
And what the effect of it is, holding that A7 with those ahs, the anticipation they create. And when they scream, and when it goes to the one. Like that to me is like just the great example of like what Western music, since the Mass, the choral Mass, starting there, it's the big explosion there. So Twist and Shout, what's really cool about that, obviously, that George pretty much plays what were a horn part solo, if you will, on the Isley Brothers version. Yeah. George just figures out a way. Which is, by the way, George, even in the early days, used his C shape a lot, and that's a good. If you can get used to using your C shape, D major chord here, you have a huge advantage because then the double stops come quite natural. Very, very, very hip sort of stuff. But
I'm pretty sure these guys had like Mel Bay guitar method books because. All this, like the whole, Cage is a phenomenon right now, and it's like, well, this is not new at all.
No, the term Cage starts in the 70s.
Sure,
I guess a guitar player in Oakland.
Learning a chord up the neck. This was when I was a kid. We had the Mel Bay book, and the teacher was we're working out of the book. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
and so we learned all those chords back then, and I remember thinking, I bet these guys had that book when they were a kid.
Most likely.
It's a proliferation of this chord, that shape, and other shapes, like the G shape, even higher up the neck.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
all over the place. So I'm thinking...
most likely. Actually, I have a theory that I can't prove, but I'm pretty sure George, I'm assuming for his birthday in February of 1963, probably was given like the jazz level Mel Bay chord book.
Yeah, right.
Because stuff gets very, very...
froggy.
I'm so alone, now you're coming on home.
Sure.
He's keeping this B natural running through these. That's what John's doing, but George is, and that She Loves You moment that I've talked about ad nauseum when we had the show, doing the.
Right.
And quickly.
Yeah.
Just like, what? Anyway, that's my theory on what's going on. The Beatles are okay, but I feel like they really ripped off the Monkees' whole aesthetic. Yeah. Yes, they did.
Wow, I've never thought of it like that.
The Beatles clearly had an unfair advantage having a time machine, didn't they?
Yes, yeah, because they were able to go forward, see what they're doing, and come back.
Bob, I think you're drunkle. Yeah. Let's see. The next one, is everybody good out there? Can I get anybody something to drink? You all right? Dave went kayaking after work.
God, see, this is why they're better than us.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Perfectly good palindrome.
Yeah.
Kayak.
Kayak.
Yeah. Oh, The Animals, House of the Rising Sun. I don't know if is that a cover band thing, or is that just because beginner guitar players, yes, we all go through that, because that's a great exercise on arpeggiating our chords and how to smoothly move through our changes. But I'll tell you what, if you don't have that Hammond B3, and again, talk about you've got to have a singer. That's pretty demanding. Band of Gold by Frida Payne. Good one, Eileen. I love that one.
That sounds great.
I think We're Alone. Tommy James and the Shondells, I think might be slightly underrated. Tommy James, like, all of his records are cool. They're groovy. Great production ideas. Yeah. I'm assuming we're talking, it's the 60s. So
and you know what, though? That's actually stepping into 70s sound to me. That's
the production?
Yeah, it's like it's actually moving into 70s sound. So if you compare that to a Green River or something like that, I mean, you have this really sort of, kind of woodsy sound, and that's moving all the way into 70s sound.
Possibly, I never thought about that.
The production level's pretty high on it.
Yeah, it's really, really hip.
Yeah.
Those are good. A Crossroads Cream. Could be. I think.
But could we talk about that for a second?
Do we talk about whatever you like, sir?
The super guitar-centric Cream songs, they work like not just Cream, but Sunshine of Your Love or Anagata Davida or something like that. These kind of guitar-centric riff songs of that period, they land if there's a bunch of guys at the bar. Mm-hmm. But when there's people that, there's not as many people that will dance for some reason to those songs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so into that. So
I'm sorry.
When I host a night once a month at a club in Hollywood, and we do 3 sets.
Sure.
In the middle set, we have guest singers. We'll have like 4 different singers come up and do 3 songs. And one of my main rules is, whatever you're going to come and do, it's got to be danceable.
Danceable. Make it danceable.
And I told the promoters, and this is all generalizations are bad. I understand.
Except when they're correct.
But all the women in my life, the women I know, when they go out, they don't go out to clubs to get hit on. They go because they want to dance and have drinks and chat with their friends. So again, make sure play music that's danceable, and your life becomes much, much easier, and your life's more fun, quite frankly.
It makes the time pass.
And also,
too.
if the club is filled with women dancing, now the dudes will show up.
Now the dudes are
now the bar's
coming.
making money, and everybody's happy. So yes, the dance floor stuff. I think you're right. I think that's why you're right. The Cream tunes,
like these were the riff guitar-based songs of the
fantastic
60s,
stuff too.
I mean?
But I guess the idea here is like at a wedding, that's why you're probably going to hear Brown Eyed Girl or Respect by Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
That's another one. Assuming you have the singer that can pull it off. That's another, like, just you start that intro.
It's like pocket stuff. Yeah.
And everyone's just going to get up out of their chairs. And that great. And so we can start, because it's just the 1 to 4, that intro, and that great guitar lick, which is basically you just play the 5 of your chord. Just start on the 5, and then just if you follow your E shape, you can kind of find that on your B string, and then go 2 frets up from there and do a little half. That's one way of remembering it.
And this is one people oftentimes want to do in a different key because it might
for the singer. Sure, I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Can't do it.
That's fine, except for when it comes to I'm blanking on his name. The saxophone solo played by King Curtis.
Yeah,
it goes to F sharp minor. Look out, baby. Is it? Anyway, it just look out, because it's going to go to, and is there a B dominant?
Yeah, it's got to be B dominant.
Back to F sharp, and then it just goes up half a step to G major, which is our 5 chord, and now we're just back and stop. Anyway, that's a fun one, but look out, Mustang.
Yeah, so maybe
there
Mustang
you go,
Sally should
Tom.
be on there. So
Tom,
we got to have a conversation about Mustang Sally.
All right, Tom. Now, everybody, cancel dinner. We're ordering pizza because we're going to be here for 2 hours.
Mustang Sally is a 24-bar form, okay? And it's a blues.
Preach, Dylan.
People say hey, it's just a 12-bar blues. It's not actually a 12-bar blues. It's a 24-bar form. If you count it in halftime, it's 12 bars, I guess. But the thing is that so you have the if you do the original, a lot of people will play. So they're trying to do kind of all the horn parts on the guitar, but the real guitar part is
right, which is nice. That's more pocket there.
Right. I mean, if you want to play it right.
Listen to that anticipation he does. See how he just so groovy.
So that's 8 bars. Mustang Sally, baby. I'm not gonna sing it. Guess you better blow your Mustang down. So there's a lot of time in the song, right?
Yeah,
sits on the 4. And then we have a reprise. So there's still 4 bars of C before you even start over.
Now here's that's 24th bar. Now we're starting
a brand new Mustang.
Now the verse.
That was the 24 bars. So that was bar 1 right there. So this is actually a form that when you're learning how to play can be kind of tricky to get down because it's not a 12-bar blues.
Right.
It's got a ton, and it's got a lot of. You guys ever noticed some of the hardest songs have the same chord?
Try not to noodle. There's so much room, especially between the vocal lines in that. 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. Guess I mean, there's like almost 3 bars of nothing in terms of the singer. So this is really tempting to like, like until the singer sings the next line. Try to hold off.
And why is that? Why is that?
Taste.
Yeah, and also like
just want to be tasteful, and also you're kind of it gets a little distracty for dancers.
It's ridiculous. Is what it is. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely.
In the words of John Wayne, that drunken speech somewhere is getting goddamn ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, the time that you have in between there is where you look around the room like a badass and connect with the audience, right?
Good point.
Look around the band members, just find somebody in the audience, and like this is not a you fest. We didn't come here for you. You're the band. Entertain me. I don't want to hear all the Now, the end of the song, you might be able to fit one or two of these in there.
Save it.
We can just go nuts by the end of the song if you want. Yeah.
Sly and the Family Stone, Henry, great choice. One of my favorite bands of all time. Most intriguing band. The arc of that band is interesting to say the least. Those first 2-3 albums, it's almost
orchestral arrangement style.
The American Promise comes.
Yeah.
It's like it just becomes a reality.
Really high level kind of thinking on the arrangements.
But what Sly and the Family Stone, Henry, do you think would like be the most popular one for cover bands though? Because I would, in my dream world, all wedding bands would do Everyday People or Hot Fun in the Summertime at least.
Yeah.
That's my Shotgun by Junior Walker is another good one. You got to make sure you have
60s.
Shotgun. I believe that. Yeah, it's early 60s.
Okay, we were
Junior
playing
Walker
that when I was
also.
a kid with like dad bands. So that's definitely one. Dancing in the Streets is definitely one too.
Now here's speaking of Motown.
Yeah.
My Girl. And I told you I sat behind. Yeah, I did. I told you I sat behind Smokey Robinson.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's right.
So that one is a great. Here's again. Sometimes the most memorable musical things we can do are the simplest. Now that guitar intro is simply the C major pentatonic scale. I mean, the guy's really just kind of playing almost a practice scale. Of course, it starts with that 5-1-1, 5-1-1. That's cool. Then boom, and then the great. So we've got this really specific guitar intro that, again, it's kind of, if we don't hear it, dance to the music, that'd be hip. Yeah, Henry. Have you heard a cover band do dance to the music? Henry, let me know where you see a band do that because I want to go. I go hang out with you, Henry. We got some partying to do. Yeah, My Girl starts with this guitar intro, and what's really cool is it's just the major pentatonic scale. Oh, major 7, very good. You're right. And then you go to the 4 chord of F and play that scale. So that's a nice thing that's a good warm up, frankly. In fact, I don't know if he plays it out of a G shape.
It sounds like it's not a slide. I just always slid it.
No, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. So
but I think he's just going.
And by
it
the
sounds
way,
like an overdub too.
I think it's Eddie Shank. Eddie Shank. Wilson, is that the last name? One of the Motown guitar players. Sounds like his telly is like going straight into the board.
Exactly.
Like it's a real flat sound. And that's the other thing about some of our favorite records. My Girl is a great example. The bass on Ain't Too Mountain High Enough is another example. I can think of some of these, like Jamie Jamerson, I'm assuming used foam underneath the strings of his P bass. Because if you listen, there's just no sustain.
So they're just really old strings.
Well, he never changed strings.
Yeah, he
never
changes strings.
But so and same thing with that. If you listen, just carefully listen, active listening, as Dylan says. Listen to the guitar intro to My Girl. Just listen to it on loop, and listen specifically about the string, the attack, how long the notes are. It's legato,
yeah,
but it's not wildly fluid, and it's very, very percussive. It's almost like like the strings are really dead and floppy.
Yeah, we call that marcato in notation. It would have the lines, like tenuto would be another way you could write it. It has the lines over the notes.
So marcato and tenuto on the pizza.
I think I've had too much Mikado tonight. I'm gonna have to call a cab.
What else we have on the we respect? We may have hit. I think we got. Did we get
Satisfaction?
Oh, Satisfaction.
And
no, I think that's what we had so far, because we're running with your great Susie Q's a good example of a just a. Well,
you ever notice how close Susie Q and Green River are?
Well, that's yeah. Or Fogerty, it's one of those things where we don't talk about Fogerty as this like guitar god, icon, great. We don't put him there with Clapton, Page, Hendrix, that world. But effective guitar playing, hooks, ideas. Again, he just takes a C7 shape chord, essentially, right? He takes a C7.
Yeah, I think he just got a lot of mileage out of what he knew.
And I think it's a custom amp, and it's the tremolo off that custom amp that he had, that one we see on the cover of the Cosmos Factory.
The custom amps are the ones that you can sleep on them at night.
Sleep with a K. It's that tuck and roll, that blue tuck and roll.
Yeah.
If you arpeggiate a particular chord, now in this case it's a dominant 7 chord, and that's but it doesn't have to be a chord with an extension on it. But in this case, he's got an E7 in a particular position, and just because of the way he grooves it and the way he articulates it, he gets a very evocative. And it's just an E7 chord, but before he even sings and describes the swamp and this backwoods situation, we kind of feel we're there already.
Yeah.
And there's it's almost tone painting, but not quite. I mean, not really.
Can we talk? So one of the things you notice about people who are songwriters from the get-go, or at least to the best of our knowledge, is that they are formal and rhythm focused from the beginning of their playing.
Interesting.
And so, like, they're thinking in sort of compartments, like they're thinking in sections.
Yeah.
There's going to be exceptions to this rule, but not in the type of music we're talking about so much.
Yeah.
And they're really kind of thinking with, is it a backbeat? Like, they're implying rhythm, especially these guitar writers where they're writing on a guitar. They're implying rhythm in their playing that when you hear guitarists play that you're thinking like there's something wrong there, it's usually because they aren't implying emphasis, or they're not giving they're not accenting something that creates that evocation, as you put it, of rhythm in their playing. And even when you hear the solo he plays on that,
to lay on that 4, that 4 sus 3 thing,
like that requires you to do this to be able to play that solo, and it tells you what's going on. This is somebody on a porch writing a song. You know? And so
that's interesting.
And so it's always a good thing to talk to students about, which is like, maybe spend a whole month where you stop thinking about notes in the way that you've been thinking about them, and just think about rhythm.
Just think about rhythms.
Just make deepening your rhythmic interoception, your understanding of rhythm, like the main goal of every practice session. And then watch your playing really just become more connected with you and more connected with the audience, because that's the contract between you and the audience, is the rhythm.
A guitar player, songwriter that I've liked for a very long time, a guy named Britt Daniel from a Texas band called Spoon, right? Very indie rock, been around for a few decades now.
Big in the 90s, right?
I think they started in the 90s, and the thing, and I assume it's a conscious choice of his, but one of the things that I remember I saw, they did an in-store at Amoeba Records years ago when Amoeba was at its first location here, and watching them, they're great. They were great, and there's a signature telly of his that Fender does, but he just doesn't strum chords.
Oh, we had that telly at the studio.
Yeah, it's that yellow one.
Yeah.
He doesn't strum chords, so his guitar parts as he's singing, it'll be like
you can hear the drummer in the playing.
Yeah, it's just like. That's what. So we don't hear. So his playing's so much more percussive.
Yeah.
It's a very specific type of playing, and so it gives it this New York City, Lower East Side, early '70s jagged, like the band Television. It's like a proto-punk thing, and it really kind of just sets that music apart in a big way. And I just think that he writes, as a guitar player, it does seem like he writes more rhythmically than harmonically.
What's counterintuitive about this for guitarists, though, is, I mean, what separates us from almost every other instrument that's maybe in an orchestra or in a band?
We're polyphonic?
Well, we strum.
No? We have
strumming is not
a heart. Yeah, that's a good.
Like we can strum, and strumming instantly means like time is on a differential. It instantly, because it's not a single attack.
That's
it's
great.
like, and this is something that's, and this is why
something we don't really think about.
It's
much,
something you don't think about very much. But it's like, so oftentimes when you, let's say you guys went and joined a jazz band at your local community college or something, they're not going to really want you to go, because they've got that. Like the saxophone player's like, actually sounds, when we do it, it sounds really
because I'm a monophonic instrument.
I can read music,
and I can only play one note at a time. So
they want you to be able to go. Like they want you to be able to do guitaristic things, and so when you focus on
because they probably have a piano player.
Well, yeah. If you're gonna do this, like, and to be honest, they can get better colors and it's more linear. They go big, like they only want you maybe for Latin to do the chording or stuff like that, or if they want you to do the Freddie Green thing, which the piano player could play along, but he was actually not even plugged in when he was playing that.
No,
stuff.
It's an arch top, just with a microphone.
So it was really a tambourine with strings on it at that point. So I mean, but think about this stuff in your playing, because it's the biggest advancements I see students make is when they stop focusing on notes and they start focusing on rhythms. And it's just when
you'll get a lot more work.
They just get they all of a sudden they can play. And the whole note thing, it's way overrated to be able to play a ton of notes.
But you're that NBA player who just focuses on defense. You're Drew Holiday basically, and just like, can I have 8 of you, please? Because the points come easier. The band sounds better because somebody's focused on rhythm.
Right.
Going back to Satisfaction before we wrap up here. Now, we did an episode on Satisfaction, and it must have been 5 years ago, if I remember. Now, again, another song where it's guitar dependent. You know, it starts with the riff. Right. And, of course, Keith is using a fuzz pedal, not a distortion pedal. There is a bit of a difference.
Was it the Gibson fuzz
It was
pedal?
the Gibson Maestro,
Because
that was pretty much the only one on the market.
Yeah.
Somebody, an engineer, they recorded at in Hollywood. The studio's no longer there, but around the corner was that music store that everyone went to, and they just grabbed the whole, because you know the story. Keith wants to try and write a soul song a la Otis Redding, who did a great cover of Satisfaction.
Right. Yeah, that cover's hilarious too.
Yeah, it really is. And
you guys gotta listen to that.
The thing is, so they heard that horns, that da 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 da, that should have been horns. So when guitar players want to imitate horns, we would, back in the day, they would play power chords. You use fifths.
Right.
That's actually the intro to Do Run Run, you know. Yeah. But then we found out like that's kind of nice and gritty. It's like two saxophones scooping those fifths, and then we try to use like distortion to kind of sound more like a sax. Now, of course, the song's in the key of E, and what's cool is that even though
it's toggling the 5 chord at the beginning.
It's really hit. So it's just that 3 note. As someone said, if rock and roll had an equivalent to Beethoven's Fifth, this would probably.
I think so.
And what's really, really cool though about but that riff is easy to play. You know, you set your tone and do it. And it's funny because Keith hates the novelty of the fuzz box on that. In fact, he still claims he thought they were making a demo. You can hear him. He hits it late. He hits it early.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. His timing's way off because he's never used a pedal before.
So he thought they were doing a demo.
That's what it was a little confusion as to what
Think
they were
about
doing
the money that was made off of these songs we've talked about, and that many of these songs were recorded in an afternoon.
Oh God! Yeah.
And then as far as like cleanup goes, there was none.
No, the musicians on Brown Eyed Girl some of them, they had a toothpaste commercial session,
Right.
Next door after this.
Not to mention, I doubt they made, other than the writers, I doubt they made any points on those songs.
Oh no,
too.
of course they didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, no, of course they didn't. Point is, so with Satisfaction though, what I think is really, really cool is what Keith does outside of the riff. The great rhythm, and it sounds like he's using that 59 Les Paul is a I can get enough.
Yeah, they sound like gospel-derived guitar stuff to me.
And the tone is so thick and
it's really good.
Cool. So if you find yourself playing Satisfaction in a 60s cover band, do old Eugene a favor and learn everything that Keith does on that, because it really, really
and you can do it on a regular tuned guitar.
Oh yeah. You don't. Yeah, that's it's a standard tuned guitar.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
But I just love what Keith is doing on the rhythm parts there when the fuzz is off. I think it's really, really. Also, what's really, really cool is Bill Wyman doing.
Yeah.
Going up to the 4.
I think they just didn't know any
when
better.
It seemed it doesn't go to the flat 7, it's a 4, and so it's got this really nice confusion to it,
Yeah.
Which that's the Stones. I
Well, you
suppose.
can't get satisfied. You can't be
No, it's
satisfied.
it's very frustrated. The singer's like, "What are we doing? What are we playing?"
Yeah, it's sort of a Buddhist thing.
So next week, I will be in town. I will be here. I'll be able to do a show. If you live in LA, come and see me at Harvard and Stone with my
is that
band.
right afterwards?
Somewhat, yeah, somewhat. I mean, stuff doesn't really start till 8 or 9, but who knows?
Well, basically afterwards.
We'll have a pizza party here, and we're gonna move on to the 70s.
Next week is the 70s.
Next week is like 70s cover songs. Got to be done.
And if you belong to our Patreon, if you don't, you should join. And if you belong to our Patreon, drop us a couple notes of the songs
And if you
that
have
we should
questions,
in the 70s.
thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Thank you for. May you have lots of great rice pudding, and may you go to Katz's and have some matzo ball soup and a slice of pastrami. Huh? You want me to hit still?
All right. Yeah, and then. Hey,
And okay, I'm gonna hit. Wait, should I tell them?
you could tell. Yeah.
I'm gonna hit still, and then he's gonna play the solo to "Born on the Bayou."
Well, I need your company. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
2, 3, 4. Keep going. Look at me. Just like the record.
Our new utility guy Steve, he was with Johnny Mathis for years.
Oh, really?
And by the way, always with symphonies.
Oh, wow.
Always.